don't take the bait. That's the series we're in. And as Ashley mentioned this weekend, we have planned this series over a year ago. How could we have known that we would be living in a time when everyone was offended at virtually everything? Have you noticed this? Like everyone is an expert in everything, even though they don't have any experience in it. I would be included. I'm giving my opinion all the time and probably being offended by other people and likely offending others. Hope it's not you. Here's what we know. Here's why I'm so glad we're doing this series right now. When you are offended, you are never at your best. You don't think your best. You don't speak your best. You don't act your best. And one of the rules I try to live by is that when other people are at their worst, I need to be at my best. So how can we, as a church, be at our best when culture is at its worst? So I'm going to just give 4 bits of just truths for you to talk about in your group so that you can help each other be at your best. Now remember, whenever we come in neighborhood groups, our goal is to take what we learned on the weekend and apply it in a practical way. So here is a way that you can apply being at your best when others are at their worst in the context of offense. So here's truth number 1. Offense is an event. Offended is a reaction. You can't help the event. You can control your reaction. So what we want to talk about right now is, why is offense the bait when being offended is the trap? And the illustration that Ashley used is all the traps on stage, like a bear trap. You hide the trap, but you show the bait. So the question for you to talk about right now is, why is offense the bait, but being offended the trap? we can be offended by almost anybody. We can be offended by strangers. We can be offended by friends. When we're offended by strangers, it's usually because they've stolen something from us. We never usually take the time to actually ask, what have they taken from me? So for example, a thief breaks into your house and they might steal some jewelry. They didn't just steal the jewelry. You can replace the jewelry. What's more important is they stole your security. So when offense comes from outsiders, it's because they took something from you, and your offense will be bigger if you don't identify what it is precisely that they took. And what I want to talk about right now is the greatest offense is not from those thieves from the outside. It's actually from the people closest to us. Here's principle number 2. Offenses come most from those who are closest to us. King David wrote a poem about that. I want to ask you to read with me together the words on your screen. For it is not an enemy who reproaches me. Then I could bear it. Nor is it one who hates me, who has exalted himself against me. Then I could hide from him. But it was you, a man, my equal, my companion, and my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked to the house of God in the throng. Psalm 55, 12-14. Let's talk about this question. Why is it that those closest to us have the most power over us to become offended? So my wife and I, we really don't get in a lot of fights. Part of it is we've been married for 37 years. It's like, what's the use? But there was a time recently where we got in a little bit of a tiff, and I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you about it because I was a jerk. So here's the story. I stopped putting the dishes in the dishwasher. Like deliberately, I stopped doing it. And I stopped doing it because every time I would put the dishes in the dishwasher, she would rearrange them. And it's like, what, am I so stupid I can't even put a dish correctly in the dishwasher? That's what I thought she was saying. So one day she asked, with a little bit of an attitude in her voice, why is it that you stopped putting the dishes in the dishwasher? I actually answered honestly. Because apparently, I said, I'm too stupid to put them in the correct way. To which she said, what, you think it's about you? And then she told me her motives. When she was a girl growing up, whatever dishes were not put in the dishwasher, they had to wash by hand. So she prided herself on being able to pack the dishwasher properly. Had nothing to do with me. She wasn't insulting me. She was actually bragging about how good she was at loading the dishwasher. Here's what I was reminded of in that little tiff that we had. That sometimes the offense, especially, forget about offense from strangers, but especially from people who are closest to you, they don't want to purposely offend you. I mean, rarely does that happen. There are some genuine offenses, but most of the times when we're offended is because we perceived an offense that wasn't really there. So I learned this lesson. I'd heard it for years, but I really tried to apply it from then on forward. Always assume positive intent, especially if it's someone you live with and love, a friend that you know, or someone at your work environment. They don't want to purposely offend you. What if instead of being offended, you first assumed that they had the best intentions in mind? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's ever been offended when the other really meant no offense. So let's just stop as a group right now and share a time when you were offended when the other person meant no offense. There are two primary commands for Christians: love God, love others. And they really go together. When Jesus gave that command, love your neighbor as yourself, he was quoting a scripture clear back in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. The context of Leviticus is actually the context of offense. So I'm going to ask you, take someone in your group, have them read out loud Leviticus 19, verses 9 through 18. Now, some of the examples of offense will be different culturally, like moving a neighbor's boundary marker, or maybe, one of the animals being gored or something like that. That's maybe different. But I want you to, as you're listening, apply that to your own life, how you would compare their offense to something culturally equivalent that maybe is offending you, and share that with the group after they read.